I am excited to welcome to the stage Brittany Soinski, who's the onboarding lead at Loom, and she's going to be talking to us about high-impact onboarding. So welcome to the stage, Brittany.
Hey everybody, good morning. How's everyone doing? Oh, this will be helpful, thank you. My name is Brittany, and for the last year and a half, I have been building out Loom's onboarding program from the ground up. I'm really excited to take this journey with you all today and share with you my learnings throughout my own journey in building onboarding. But before we get started, I want to ask for a quick show of hands. How many of us feel like we could be doing better when it comes to onboarding our customers? Okay, a couple people have their hands down, but that's okay. I'm going to challenge you on that assumption a little later today. My sons have this book called Piggy and Elephant, Let's Go for a Drive. Has anyone ever read this book before? Okay, got a couple of you guys in the room. So here's how the story goes. Piggy and Elephant are setting out on a road trip. They decide it's a beautiful day, they're ready to go for a drive. So they start gathering all of the necessary tools and everything they're gonna need for their road trip. They even grab an umbrella. They've got a map, they have their suitcases, they've got their sunglasses, and at the end of the story, they realize neither one of them has a car and neither one of them knows how to drive. Now, I had this kind of aha moment as I was reading this book to my kids the other night, and I was like, that's it, that's what's missing. We often have these amazing resources available for our customers. We have training and enablement programs. We have ways to activate our customers and monitor their success. But are we truly putting our customers in the right vehicle that it's going to get them to the correct destination effectively and quickly? So today I want us all to challenge ourselves and start thinking about, we raised our hands saying, we want to improve onboarding at our organization. Start by thinking about the way that you're doing that and what could a different vehicle for success look like, and who is going to be your driver. Are your CSMs currently driving this vehicle? Are they the ones responsible getting your customers to activation and to success? Is this journey that they take just one part of their day? It's just one hat that they wear, they hop in the car, they drive the customer on this onboarding journey. Do you have a specialized onboarding team? Now I think of this more like a professional driver. You may have a specialty license type, for example, like the ability to drive a bus full of customers. I'm just gonna keep throwing car analogies at you. I'm a boy mom, so this was all I could come up with. So scaled customers in a bus. We're gonna talk more about that a little bit later. Now here's what I'm a fan of, and when we start to think about scaling onboarding, that can mean a lot of things, right? It can mean a tech touch model, it can mean outreach sequences, but start to think about transitioning the role of the driver to your customer, and instead transitioning your internal onboarding initiatives into that shotgun seat. That's how we're gonna start to think about scaling onboarding, yet still doing it effectively. We're gonna think about our driver, though, our customer, as somebody with a learner's permit. It's gonna be our job to teach them how to drive this car so that after onboarding is over, after say 30 days, they can keep going, they can reach the destination, and they can tow the rest of the org behind them. We wanna make sure that we design a vehicle for them that is easy to drive, has a lot of intuitive features, maybe some autopilot or some auto assist features. So start to think about that, and we're gonna explore this shift more together today. Now, when I first started at Loom, I started with a single focused goal in mind. When I was hired, my job was very simple: develop a perspective on how to improve customer onboarding, make it better. And I was like, that sounds easy enough, right? So day one, I was feeling really excited, really pumped. I was like, I love onboarding customers. I love building programs. How hard can this be? And quickly realized there is an ocean to to boil. Where do we start? How do we prioritize? How do we make sure that our efforts are aligning with the proper impact? So we're going to start today with a trusty map, and this is for all of us here. This is from Precursive's Customer Onboarding Benchmark Report, and it provides a great pulse check for companies of all stages. I want everybody to take a look at this today and place a couple of invisible pins in the map for where you think your organization stacks up today when onboarding your customers. I've gone ahead and put a couple of my own pins in the map. These were my starting points when I realized I've got this ocean to boil. I better prioritize this somehow. So take a few minutes and do that. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about each of these stages. The survival stage. If you are currently an early stage startup, you are likely in the survival stage, where onboarding is currently a means to an end. It's something we know we have to do to activate our customers. There's no standardization going on. It's a lot of manual work, and it's just one of the many hats that somebody wears on a given day-to-day. So you can see I was starting from some of these more ad hoc areas and processes when I started building out onboarding. As we start to level up and we're in that really exciting but challenging hyper-growth phase in our organizations, this is when you're going to start standardized onboarding. But things are still a little bit manual at this point, in that your tools and technologies are not necessarily tied into business critical tools or functions yet. We're still doing things perhaps a little separated in docs or spreadsheets. And you're still not quite thinking about those customer outcomes. Onboarding is really just focused on the nuts and bolts and configuration. As we start leveling up into the SMB phase, this is really the great time to hone in on your onboarding. We know that one of the keys to a successful business hinges on the ability to not just onboard your customers, but to onboard them exceptionally well. We need to be able to take them past configuration and setup and put them through an onboarding that makes them feel inspired, like they want to come back for more, like they want to advocate for our products. This is the time to start thinking about doing that as you get into this smarter onboarding phase. And lastly, here is our destination on our road to excellence, which is hyper smart onboarding. At this point, onboarding is a cornerstone of customer success. It has the attention of executive leaders such as yourselves, and delivery of these outcomes is now table stake. Everyone have their pins in the map? Everyone identify at least one area where you might be kind of underpacing in terms of onboarding. Okay, well, if not, I'm going to challenge you on that because I think it's really important that we have identified our correct starting point. Did anyone take an Uber from the airport to get here to the hotel? Okay, perfect. So this will feel recent to you. You know when you pull up your Uber app and you're like, I'm here, come pick me up, I've got my bag, I'm at the curb, and you open up your app and it shows you, you are here and you need to be over here. Like, please follow these little dots over here to the correct pickup location. This is that moment for you as you are thinking about where you are currently standing in terms of onboarding maturity. This is one of my favorite techniques. This is a human-centered design technique by AJ and Smart, a consultancy. And this is a great way in 40 minutes to gather this amazing information from your team and from your colleagues to brainstorm around a particular topic. I ran this during my first week at Loom and asked a very simple question. How are we doing today in terms of onboarding our customers? You can do this either in person with a series of sticky notes that you hand out. You can also do this in your favorite digital whiteboard tool like Mural or Miro or FigJam. Hand out the sticky notes and you say, everyone go crazy. No idea is a bad idea. We want to generate as many ideas here as possible. We use something like this sailboat diagram, and at the top we say, what's going well today with onboarding? What are we doing well? What's the wind behind our sails pushing us along on this journey? Now we start talking about the problems with onboarding today, and we put those below the sailboat diagram. What is holding us back? You see that anchor down there, or what could lie ahead? So now you have a series of problems or opportunities, things that you can be doing to improve onboarding. You're going to have your team vote on these. You're going to prioritize them, reframe them as challenge statements or how might we statements. You're going to ideate on specific solutions to each of these specific problems, and then you're going to prioritize them by simply putting them onto an impact and effort matrix. In just 40 minutes, you can come up with a comprehensive roadmap of everything you need to do to specifically address these needs and have buy-in from the team. I highly recommend everybody run a lightning decision jam with your teams. It's a ton of fun, and you're going to come up with some great tangible ideas for what you can do. These were my own initial findings when I ran this at Loom back a year and a half ago, and you can see that these align with the areas where we were kind of underpacing in terms of onboarding maturity. It's findings like these that make it really easy to figure out your starting point and come up with a comprehensive game plan for improving onboarding. All of a sudden, that ocean I had to boil was feeling a lot more manageable. I was feeling less like Tom Hanks and Castaway, like me and Wilson, not quite knowing what was going on. Felt like, all right, we've got a destination, we're starting to build our life raft over here, we've got some coordinates, and we're ready to go. Hot topic. We're not all going to agree on this. Who should onboard your customers? Now, I'm in favor of specialists when it comes to onboarding and customer success, and I know many of you are probably more fans of generalists. There's an argument to be made for each. But when it comes to onboarding, I'm going to tell you why I think it needs to be a specialty at each org. Onboarding specialty and having a team dedicated towards properly activating your customers is really something to strive for as you move up that onboarding maturity matrix. Here are just a couple of the hats that today's CSMs are wearing. It is a huge job. I don't know about you guys, but when I started in customer success about 10 years ago, it was about half this number of hats, and it feels like each year a new hat is added on. This is also great to pull up on a professional development call, and you can say, hey, which hat do you love wearing? Which one's your favorite? Which one do you wish you could donate to the Goodwill? And which one is making you feel excited to come to work every day? I would argue that in onboarding, you probably need to be wearing your consultant hat first and foremost, as well as your trainer hat. I would take that seller hat and throw it in the trash during onboarding, because onboarding needs to be a period of extreme focus. What happens when we in CS have too many metrics is we move from being an arrow speeding straight towards hitting a target to a bunch of scattered pellets. We're moving with velocity, but we're trying to hit a lot of different things. NRR, decreased churn, NPS, expansion, activation. You can't do that during onboarding. Greg Danes, who is here with us today, recently just shared some of his recent research with me, which I found absolutely fascinating. And his research showed that if you do not get your customers started and get them to value within 10 days, they are 10 times more likely to churn at the end of 12 months. 10 times more likely. You need to have a team focused at the beginning and being that arrow aimed straight at hitting those activation numbers. You have to be focused on getting your customers to their habit and aha moment right there in the beginning. It's nearly impossible to do later on in the journey. We're going to talk a little later about some more metrics. Okay, continuing to build out our map. We've got a good idea of our starting point. You can take all those awesome sticky notes that you collected from your lightning decision jam with those really tactical solutions that were aimed at knocking your problems out of the park, and you can take those and you can put those onto your own customer journey. So this is my current onboarding journey at Loom, and you can see that it starts with the sales to CS handoff. That, of course, we know needs to be really strong and to set us off on our correct path. All the way through to the end of onboarding, what does a proper exit look like? What does that handoff look like? Let's focus on the middle. Go ahead and color code this. Start by, in green, highlighting things that you already have, that you're already doing well. Then in yellow, things that are going to be P1 for you to build or improve this quarter. And in blue, things that are going to be P2. We've also got some themes and some bands going on down here at the bottom. So this is my own roadmap at the moment. The things in green are the things that we at Loom have built over the past year. And I've put a couple little Tesla superchargers on a couple of the programs I want to dive in a little deeper with you all on today. We could spend all day talking about all these different programs, but I'm going to show you some of my favorites. And I hope that some of them feel new and novel to you guys. One thing that's great about working at Loom, although sometimes a challenge, is everything we do needs to be run as an experiment. If you want to roll out a new playbook or a new program, a new resource, we have to A/B test it because we want to make sure we are failing fast and learning and taking what we're learning and applying it. So I've got a love-hate relationship with A/B testing everything. But one that this works really well with are webinars. Now, I mentioned I was going to come back to that bus analogy, a scaled bus full of customers driving towards success off into the sunset. If I had in-seat entertainment on that bus, this is the webinar that I would be playing. Now, we did a little experiment, and we wanted to make sure we were really accurately measuring the success of our webinar. This webinar that we run, it's called Loom 101. It's different from a marketing webinar. It's not aimed at getting anybody to purchase the tool. It's not necessarily demoing for the sake of selling your solution. It is totally aimed at hitting that activation target and getting people to that aha or habit moment. What does that moment look like? And in what order do people need to learn things in order to get there? That's what this webinar is about. It's highly rated and highly effective. So we A/B tested a couple of groups, and these were both bought-in groups of individuals that we tested. We took everybody who registered for the webinar, and then we split out people who either attended live or watched on demand or registered but didn't attend. So all people wanting to learn. And what we found were the people who attended the 30-minute session within just 30 days had their percent of recordings go up 57% more than those that didn't attend. So now we know, hey, we need to get every new user to attend this webinar. We know it's like our secret weapon in activating our customers. A little note here on live webinars versus on-demand webinars. I think you need to have both, but make sure that your on-demand version is made for on-demand. It should be shorter, it should be more polished. It shouldn't just be a recording of your live session, and our on-demand content actually gets 10 times more content than the live offering. I like to think of this on the onboarding journey as like, if there's like a little ramp in the beginning, a little jump, and you're like, wee, and your customers are just jumping onto that road and heading off to success. I'm trying to get all the customers on this ramp as we go. Here's another one of my favorite things, and another one of my customers' favorite things, is providing a center of excellence. Now remember, we're trying to put our customers into the driver's seat. So on every kickoff call, I ask our customers, where does your team go to find out information about the tools or processes that you have in place? And they usually say, oh, we use Confluence or Notion or Guru. I say, great. I have a center of excellence. It's about 80% filled in for you. And we're going to partner together to add governance and best practices and standards in here together. And I'm going to make sure that they put this into their wiki. This is going to be set up in such a way that if I'm a brand new user, I put myself into their mindset and say, what do I need to know, and in what order do I need to learn it? I'm going to start with a framework, some infographics. What is this tool? And importantly, where does this tool fit into my existing tech stack? There's a lot of new tools coming and going at our orgs at any different time. If you can put your tool in an infographic where you are indicating where it fits in and ties in with these other tools, it really helps us to accept and be willing to adopt this new technology. Show of hands if anyone is providing a center of excellence to their customers during onboarding today. Okay, show of hands if you're going to after today. Okay. All right, another show of hands. I know we're doing a lot of stretching. Has anybody in here ever been a purchaser of a software for their team? Okay, so when you've been in the driver's seat, how did that go for you guys? It's a lot of work. You sit through several demos, you painstakingly and lovingly choose the best tool for your teams, you procure the budget, you bring on this tool, and you're like, okay team, I heard your pain points, I invested in this tool, I brought it over for us as a team, like let's get going, let's get started, only to see the adoption kind of not really take off in the way that you wanted. Now, if you're partnering with a great customer success team, hopefully they're helping you find that ramp and get started and getting your users to value within that crucial 10-day period. But if not, you might just have this tool that you purchased with hopes of it being so successful, yet it kind of fell flat. So this is another thing we can do during that critical 10-day period in the beginning, and our customers love this. This is a communications schedule. And what we do is provide our admins and stakeholders with a set of templated emails that are announcement templates that they can use to communicate this change at their org. Now, we know that one of the secrets to effective change management is frequent and well-timed communication. So it's great that we can be the ones writing the script. We'll say, here are the different templates we recommend sending out. We've written them coming from an executive's voice, from a stakeholder's voice. Here's where you should send it. We embed a Loom in ours, so we show an example of that. We make sure to layer in the WIFM, the what's in it for me, for everybody who's going to be reading it. And all they have to do is hit send. Bonus, this saves your champions a ton of time from fielding questions. It also makes them look really good, which of course we want to be doing during onboarding. Okay, now we have Donna Weber with us here. Hi, Donna. And many of you guys know Donna. She's the world's leading expert in onboarding. And I had a chance to chat with her a little bit last night, and I was watching her presentation from last year, and one thing she said really stuck with me. She said, we have to deliver meaningful value that our customers will relate to, right, Donna? And she said, and we have to be finding these quick wins, commemorating these quick wins in days and weeks throughout the journey, not in months and years. This will result in reduced churn and increased value. So this is how I interpret that and apply it at Loom. This is called our Team Impact Discovery Program. We seed this during onboarding with our more dedicated or white glove customers, and this lends really nicely from the onboarding to CS handoff. It's kind of like a roadmap that the CSM can pick up on. We start with asking our main executive contact or stakeholder. We say, hey, I want to tell you about these programs I want to run at your org to really effectively help each team find personal value from this and actually drive their goals forward towards impact. Can you introduce me to a different functional leader in each department to have this conversation? And I show them this visual. I tell them how it's going to go. We're going to have this discovery call. We're then going to come up with a game plan. I'm going to create custom resources and enablement for you. And then we are going to measure how well we did in actually driving those goals forward towards impact. So I say, will you introduce me? And by the way, yes, I've got an email template for you to send to introduce me. It's got a Loom embedded in it where I introduce myself and I talk about this program. So all they have to do is hit send. The best way I've ever seen this program run effectively was during my time at Mural. And we ran this as a competition on our customer success team. It was so much fun and so effective. And we said, everybody, run this with your customers. It's going beyond just discovering what's going on with your customers and what their goals are. You actually have to drive them forward through towards impact and actually measure the impact of this. So we said, whoever can do as many of these cycles is going to win. We had a Slack workflow where we were submitting all our submissions. Here were the results. Within 1 quarter, we identified 87 new executive contacts. We completed 78 of these cycles, and we saw our activation go up as our whole book of business by 7% as a result of this program. Super fun. Speaking of measuring success, I want to touch on just a couple of ways to get started. And I know we're going to hear from many great speakers today telling us about the great ways you can measure success. I like to keep it simple in the beginning with onboarding. And one thing that I always like to have and look at is called a utilization index. Now, think of this kind of like if you have the Waze app up on your phone and it's saying, you're going to get here in 28 minutes, and then all of a sudden you get that dreaded notification. Your time is ticked up, 9 minutes, traffic's building up ahead. You're like, oh no. You want to speed up, maybe find a different route or step on the gas, right? We all know that feeling. And this is what the utilization index will tell you. To calculate this, it's very simple. You're going to take your percent utilization, whatever that means for your tool. At Loom, it's the percent of people recording, so 30% of people recording. If we say we want 30% of our people recording by 25% into their term, and we divide those numbers, we're going to get a utilization index of 1.2. I can now apply this same formula at any point leading up to this point. Let's say we're just 10% into onboarding, but only 10% of our teams are recording. Now our utilization index is down at a 1. And this is that Waze moment where I'm like, calculate alternate route. We know we need to step on the gas. We know we need to add some focus here because we're underpacing in order to get our customers to that time to value quickly. These are a couple of other onboarding metrics to monitor as you're getting started. Your enter criteria and your exit criteria. So where are your customers starting from in terms of the seats they have allocated, in terms of the activation? How much are you able to truly influence that and move that during your onboarding period? Where are they starting and where are they exiting? The date at which they hit your specified criteria. So when did they hit, let's say, 30% utilization? And now we can calculate our time to value. How many days into onboarding did it take us to get there? Once we have these things in mind, this is when we can start adding new playbooks, new programs, and A/B testing these because we have a good baseline of how long our time to value is and what our standard utilization index look like. And of course, we want to make sure we are following through with those impact delivery workflows. You should see a really nice spike in your activation numbers following each of those cycles. All right, everybody. As we conclude this journey together today, I want to leave you with 3 key takeaways and 3 challenges to take back to your orgs. First, know your coordinates. This reminds us to start with a clear understanding. Where are you standing in your onboarding maturity model currently? And challenge those assumptions. Run a workshop, brainstorm, and really pinpoint what you need to prioritize. I saw everybody raise their hand and say they wanted to improve onboarding. So this is a great way to get started. It's going to be your North Star guiding you into onboarding excellence. Number 2, build your fleet. This challenges us to equip ourselves with the right tools and teams and technologies to take this journey and to drive our customers forward towards excellence. It requires specialization, proper comms, and making the shift to putting our customers into that driver's seat. These are the keys to onboarding success. And lastly, drive towards excellence. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the relentless pursuit of onboarding mastery. Remember that onboarding excellence is not a destination, but it is a constant journey of wanting to improve the ways you are doing things. With these words in mind, let's accelerate our efforts, chart our course, and commit to the journey of onboarding success. And may your road be paved with much success. Thank you.